Valheim is a game I've had on my list to try for a long time, and I recently started playing it for the first time with family and friends. We're having a ton of fun. However, we went into Valheim completely cold and definitely made some noob mistakes in the early game that could have been easily avoided. If you want to be a little bit more prepared than we were, stay tuned for my top tips that I wish I knew before I started Valheim. Listen to the bird. Hugin the Raven is pretty much your tutorial. He normally only appears after you do something for the first time and then explains it, and it definitely pays to listen to what he says. If you accidentally click through the messages, like I did a couple times, you can go to your crafting menu and then read them by clicking on the raven icon in the top right. Don't go wild building a massive house right away. You'll probably find a much better place to set up camp after exploring a little bit, so just do something temporary for the first night or two to get your basic tools and weapons. But when you do build your little temporary first camp, be sure not to walk into the fire repeatedly over and over again like I did, unless you really like the Human Torch look. Use abandoned structures to your advantage. You probably shouldn't even build your first camp. There will probably be some abandoned buildings fairly close to your starting area that are perfect for you to squat in. If you're lucky, you'll find one with a chest in it with something useful. Plop a campfire outside, a workbench and a bed inside, and you have yourself a nice little start without having to spend a whole day chopping down trees. Speaking of chopping down trees, be careful when chopping down trees. Imagine, just for a moment, you're almost done building your first Viking mansion, but you just need a bit more wood. You are in luck. There's a massive beach right next to your house. Timber! Now my house is destroyed. When you chop down larger trees, they turn into huge logs, which fall with physics in some direction. If they land on your house, you better have fun rebuilding it. You can repair your tools for free at a workbench. Your axe is quickly going to get worn down from all that tree chopping. Maybe I had Minecraft on my mind, but at first, I thought you had to craft a whole new tool or weapon when they became worn down. So I ended up with a bunch of tools in my inventory until I discovered the somewhat hidden repair button on the workbench. Go to the crafting menu and there's a little hammer icon just to the left of the crafting menu. Just spam that button until it's grayed out and you'll repair every tool in your inventory that needs repairing, all for free. While you're spamming the button to repair your tools, save a click for the subscribe button so you don't miss what I have coming up next. Look for items that you haven't picked up yet or enemies that you haven't killed. I noticed pretty quickly that you get new crafting recipes when you pick up different items, but I spent a good amount of time working towards making those recipes in my starting area when I probably should have been looking around for a larger variety of items or enemies to kill. Don't take this too far though, or you'll find yourself dead and having to go really far to get your stuff, especially if you go into a different biome. Finding a variety of stuff will let you fill up your crafting recipe list and help you get a larger range of things to work on. Keep yourself fed with a variety of foods. If you want to take full advantage of those regen buffs, you'll want to keep yourself fed, which raises your max health and or stamina. You won't die if you don't eat, but you'll find yourself unable to survive many hits from an enemy, or only take a few swings of your axe before you have to rest. You can have the effect for 3 different foods at the same time, and different foods have different effects. One quick trick to see if a food mainly replenishes health or stamina is to look at the little fork icon next to it in your inventory. A red fork means the food mostly replenishes health, a yellow fork mainly works on stamina, and a white fork is balanced across both categories. Stay fed and you won't regret it. Put a bed down quickly in any new outpost. Since your bed is your spawn point, getting one down quickly when you build in a new area will let you reclaim your death loot crate much more easily. I learned this the hard way when I was screwing around trying to line up a roof on a new cabin far away from my old one. A bunch of gray dwarves popped out and killed me, and I had to make a harrowing sprint in my undies from my old spawn to grab my stuff. Stash at least one weapon in a chest in your spawn. The bird tells you to do this, but please listen to him. See the previous tip about running through the woods in your undies? It's much better to have a little help fending off attackers along the way. You can level ground and make paths by using a hoe. You won't know about ground leveling until you actually craft the hoe for the first time, but you can use it to level ground to help you build your camp or build a path to something interesting. You can also raise ground with the hoe, but be aware that this costs a decent amount of stone. This is something that I did raising ground around my house, and I used up all my stone really without knowing it. Should have been a little bit more careful. Decorating your house extends the all-important rested buff. When you are rested, you have double stamina regen and a 50% buff to health regen and XP gain. It's just such a huge bonus that you should do everything you can to keep this status. You get this status after being in a shelter for a while or after sleeping in a bed, and its duration depends on the comfort level of the shelter. The more creature comforts you have in your shelter, the longer the buff will last until you need to rest again. So get that deer skin rug down as soon as you can. Be careful not to wander into other biomes. If you didn't know, you start in the meadows biome. You can see what biome you are in by looking at the corner of the map view in your HUD. I happened to make my first house right next to the Black Forest, which is the next biome after you complete the meadows, and wandered in to get some wood. I quickly found myself going, run away, from 6 or 7 baddies. You'll get a warning from the Raven the first time that you cross the border into a new biome, but after that, you are on your own. Get yourself a bow and arrow before you take on the Meadows biome boss, Eikthyr. The Raven tells you to arm yourself better before you take on Eikthyr, but really doesn't explain what that means. Especially if you go and lay eyes upon him, you might think you need every single bit of the best stuff available before giving it a go. He looks super intimidating. You got lightning, massive antlers, great size. He's straight off an album cover of some Nordic metal band. Nevertheless, he wasn't that hard, and that was largely down to us being able to peck away at him with arrows from a distance before we got close enough to finish him off. And that gets us to our last tip. This game is more fun with friends. This is the perfect game for a group of really any skill level. I'm having fun in a casual first game with family, but I see how it could eventually be really fun with a group of skilled players. In fact, even after my first game, I was itching to set up a dedicated server for our family world where we can come and go. I don't really have the ability to do that at the moment, but that would be awesome to have. I hope these tips will set you up to start your journey to Valhalla in better shape than I did. If you want to see more Valheim content from me, the best thing you can do is drop a like to tell me that this is the kind of stuff that you want more of. If you're a fan of another coffee stain game, Satisfactory, head over to my channel and check it out. I have tons of awesome content. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Until next time, I'm DrLootCrate and stay stoked out there.